Hello Turcaholics, and thank you for downloading this episode of Football a la Turca. We hope you enjoy our podcast and the work we put into bringing it to you each and every week completely free. But for those of you who want to support the show, you can join us on Patreon for just $3 a month. Money we'll use to continue improving our hardware, software, and fund our annual hosting on Podbean. You can do so on patreon.com/FALT. Or just check the show notes. Thank you for your consideration of patronage, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone and welcome back to Football a la Turca. This is episode 24. I hope you enjoyed our Europa League and Champions League previews of last week. We did not give you a full-fledged show last week, but I figured that with those two, that would be plenty. I'm joined once again by Burak Sezgin and Umut and Nadere. Guys, thank you very much for joining us.
You are very welcome, Kaan. I think as we speak, Basaksehir have been dumped out of the Champions League into Europa League group stages. No one is too surprised about that, I think. And the question on everyone's lips is, where is Falcao? It's like, where is Wally? And we're looking for him, and I'm sure Umut can enlighten us a little bit more.
We'll talk about that in a second, but actually they're not yet in the Europa League group stages. Burak, I have to correct you there. They still have to play the playoff rounds of the Europa League, so they still have to survive one more round to even qualify for those group stages.
I don't think they will. I'm putting it out there right now. Damn, I thought they went straight in. Obviously not. Wow.
Nope. They would have had to survive this round in order to qualify for the Europa League group stages. So just quickly going to give you the results of that match. Of course, Basaksehir lost last week at home at the Basaksehir Fatih Terim Stadium 1-0 to Olympiacos. They also missed a penalty in added time. Edin Visca saw his penalty saved by the very capable, very excellent Portuguese goalkeeper José Sá. And José Sá would play a key role again in today's fixture as Basaksehir ultimately lost 2-0. Another penalty there for Mathias Jorgensen towards the end in the 78th minute or so. But it was Ruben Semedo, another Portuguese, who had put Olympiacos in front. But it should be pointed out that Basaksehir really did play a good game. They created... I lost count how many good chances. They really should have scored a couple, but their finishing just wasn't up to snuff. And at the end of the day, if you can't finish, you're not gonna get anywhere in football, of course. So, like Burak said, Basaksehir dumped out of the Champions League qualifiers, and they will go into the safety net of the Europa League. Maybe they will be able to qualify for the Europa League group stages. And we're recording this on Tuesday, of course, so no results yet for the Europa League. But of course, last week Malatyaspor lost 3-1 in Belgrade against Partizan Belgrade. And the third goal only coming in additional time, again through a penalty. That was very painful for Malatyaspor. Obviously 2-1 would have been an okay result, but 3-1 makes it a very difficult task heading back into this week's fixture in Malatya. And then the other result, Trabzonspor drew 2-2 in Prague against Sparta Prague. That was a better result, although it didn't look that great. 10 minutes before full time, it was 2-0 for Prague, but Trabzonspor managed to squeak their way back in, and they're now favorites going into the home leg at the Akiazi Stadium, or the Şenol Güneş Stadium, however you want to call it, this Thursday. So let's dig into some transfer stuff, and let's dig into the most juicy news that there is, and that's of course Radamel Falcao. What's the deal? Is he coming? Isn't he coming? Abdurrahim Albayrak and Ahmet Bulut. Ahmet Bulut, of course, a very famous player agent in Turkey. big man in Turkey, and of course Abdurrahim Albayrak, vice president of Galatasaray, traveled to Monaco last Thursday or last Friday, I believe, and the news was that they would return with Falcao on Monday. It's now Tuesday, still no Falcao. Abdurrahim Albayrak has returned with a nice picture, nice selfie with Radamel Falcao, but not with the actual player. Umut, what's the latest on Falcao?
Well, actually, having known Abdurrahim Albayrak since I'm a Galatasaray fan, and I'm really getting used to his weird stuff recently, and came in empty-handed from the airport, and also taking a selfie with Falcao, and after that incident, getting an empty-handed to Istanbul and telling the people, the excited fans about it, which is a negative news, telling them how the situations are like postponed into agreement stuff, negotiating, and so it's about the weird stuff, and I don't think it will happen. But earlier today you said me ESPN has announced Falcao's coming to Galatasaray. However, I don't see it happening right now. I don't think Abdurrahim Albayrak has the ability to negotiate into the talks much further from this point.
L'Équipe had a very interesting article on it yesterday, I believe it was, in which they basically said, look, Falcao did indeed accept Galatasaray's offer for a 3-year contract with more than 5 million guaranteed wages a year, but he doesn't really have the intention of going there, is what L'Équipe wrote. They said that Falcao's main motivation of accepting this offer was to give himself a stronger position on at the negotiation table, whether it would be for an extension at Monaco or Valencia, who are rumored to be interested. There was also an interview on a radio in Colombia on Friday where Falcao did speak about Galatasaray, did speak about Turkey, but from what my friend tells me, who translated it for me, he said, I don't really get the vibe from what I'm hearing, because it was, of course, an audio radio interview. I'm not really getting the vibe that he's very keen on the move, despite that he had some nice things to say, but it's all about how you say it, of course, the intonation and all that. Yeah, so what's the deal here? Right now, Monaco are working hard on getting Ben Yedder from Sevilla. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Falcao will be available, especially not for free, which is the big thing. Galatasaray wants to get Radamel Falcao on a free transfer, but Monaco simply aren't willing to let him go on a free. And I think that's the main obstacle right now. Apart from, I think if Galatasaray would come in with a decent offer, let's say 7-8 million, I'm sure Monaco would be willing to oblige. But they're not going to be letting him go for free right now, as it seems. So the transfer seems to be stuck a little bit in deadlock. And then the question is, if you're a vice president of a club like Galatasaray, should you really be giving the fans basically the sign of, look, this is a done deal? Because when we saw that picture of Abdurrahim Albayrak and Falcao posing together, then everyone assumed, look, this is done. He's coming. And then a couple of days later, nothing happens, empty-handed. He returns empty-handed to Istanbul. The question is then, should he not resign? I mean, obviously this can still happen. I mean, if this
also this kind of business shouldn't be like advertised as it is, because you give so many people hopes about getting him, and you use that kind of vibe to in your own way to make the like new stuff handy for your own business stuff. Then this kind of approach doesn't get any further. You mess it up, and also it's becoming like a thing for the rivals. You know, they get messy stuff around you all the time.
Yeah,
you give them stuff like all these kind of talks should be in private until it's done.
Yeah. You don't put that type of picture out until the thing is signed. Then you put the picture out. It's amateur hour, in my opinion. I mean,
also I think Abdurrahim Albayrak is that kind of amateur, in my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then obviously, I mean, if you have, as president of the club, allow him to take charge, then that's amateuristic on his part too. So I mean, Yeah, it's a difficult situation. I mean, obviously this can still be done. This can still get finished. Falcao could still come.
Also, it has to be said that I saw today Onyekuru's first training session with Monaco, and in this picture, Falcao was already there preparing for the team in Monaco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, he's not gonna. He's
not gonna leave his team.
No, but that's normal. He's gonna stay and train with the team until he leaves. That's how it works. Burak, what do you think about the whole Falcao drama?
It's quite fun watching it unfold each day. Like I was telling you guys earlier, it's like a classic Turkish dizi, and there's a cliffhanger at the end of each episode, whereas it's almost like there's a cliffhanger every single hour. You're hearing talks of Ben Yedder has arrived to Monaco. You're hearing talks of Atletico Madrid having sold someone, and Valencia bought that striker from Valencia, so Valencia might have an opening for him. But then you've got the fact that Falcao would command 5 to 6 million euros a year, almost. The fact that no one seems to want to buy Jugner, who's sitting there on earning his high salary as well, and it's every day. At some point during the day, I think Falcao's going to come, and then I read something online that he's not going to come. Do I want him to come? Of course, I don't want him to come, because he'll be probably a phenomenally good goal scorer. But Falcao was. I've read reports saying that Falcao doesn't see himself settling down with his family in Istanbul, but like I say, I can't remember if that was from any official sources. It's just been L'Equipe could be the lovely French colleagues over there, but every day there's something different. So I don't know. I still think it might happen. That's how I feel right now. Ask me in another 30 minutes, and I might say something completely different. But it just reminds me of the whole debacle with Allen that happened, and then Kevin Grosskreutz that happened as well. It's just like another catalogue.
Don't remind me that.
Yeah, so it's just like it's another in a catalogue of errors. So, but like you say, the picture that Al Bayrak took with Falcao and then posted it online, to many Galatasaray fans, that they probably thought, right, done deal. Because why would you be taking a picture with your arm around him?
Yeah, not just the fans, but also the media jumps on that, and like you said, it's like 1 hour it's done, the other hour then there's some trouble here or whatever. It's a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster for the fans. It's been dragging on for a couple of weeks now, and in the meantime, Galatasaray are neglecting to replace fill other voids in the team. I think most importantly, Fernando has been sold to Sevilla, and no replacement has been gotten. Michael Siri is not a replacement for Fernando. He's not a defensive midfielder, and we did see against Fiorentina that there's definitely some major deficiencies defensively for Galatasaray that need to be resolved with the league starting in just a couple of days. How do you feel about that, Umut? Do you think that the whole Falcao, all the attention is going too much to Falcao, and the other positions are being neglected?
Yeah, definitely. We just literally wasted 1 whole month for one single player, and we got nothing out of it. Just became empty-handed, and we still have to replace our number 6 position, which is defensive midfielder. And also, from what I see from the friendly games, Nagatomo is playing really weird. He's getting really old right now, so he's really prone to errors because of his physical decline. So we also need dire need with a left back also. So this has to be done before the transfer window closes. But as we're already used to it, it's never done in any Super League team. Nobody ever finished all of the team's transfers at the time before the Super League started. So we're used to it.
Very true. And it's a natural segue into Besiktas, who finally got their man at left back, Pedro Rebocho, from En Avant Guingamp in League. League 2 now. They did relegate. He played 43 games last season for Guingamp, and he got 12 assists. It's quite spectacular for a left back, and he was one of. I spoke to Pierre-Henri Dufay yesterday to interview him about Pedro Rebocho, what type of player he is. That episode of the Black Eagles podcast will be up later this week, which will be focusing on Pedro Rebocho. But he did tell me one thing that I'm going to reveal already, is that he is a consistent player, and that he was basically one of very few, basically one or two players last season for Guingamp where he couldn't really say anything bad about, who had a good season. So Besiktas get their left back, 24-year-old Portuguese player, former Benfica academy product, former Portuguese youth international. So they get their left back. They also got Victor Ruiz from Villarreal, 30-year-old central defender, left-footed central defender, known for being decent with the ball at his feet. So Besiktas, who started the transfer window pretty slow, get two key moves within the space of a week, and now they're looking towards a left winger still. And the most the hottest rumor right now is that of Yeven Konoplyanka, and Jochen Schneider of Schalke 04, the technical director or the director of football, was yesterday, that's a local news agency in Germany, that indeed Besiktas are in talks with Schalke for Yeven Konoplyanka, but there is nothing done yet so far. So it's a name we've heard mentioned with Fenerbahçe earlier in the window too. Besiktas, of course, getting linked with him every summer, it seems like, ever since he was at Dnipropetrovsk and had that amazing season with them in the Europa League. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there for Besiktas. They're still looking for that left winger, for a striker, due to the injury of Burak Yilmaz and Güven Yalçın's inability to convince during the training camp, and then also perhaps a goalkeeper, because Loris Karius will be out for about a month. So Besiktas are also linked right now with Volkan Babacan and Sinan Bolat of Antwerp. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I would tell you to go and listen to the Black Eagles podcast if you want to listen. If you want to hear a little bit more about the latest transfer rumors of Besiktas. But let's go over to Fenerbahçe, unless either of you have anything to add about these rumors. Quickly, Burak, what do you think of the two signings Besiktas made, Victor Ruiz and Pedro Rebocho?
I think they're good signings, or strengthening, which is... Well, Besiktas appeared to be proactively strengthening their defence, which is something that Galatasaray and Fenerbahçe are definitely not doing, and something that Fenerbahçe desperately need to do. Maybe Galatasaray not as much, because they have Oturmuş, a defence that they won the championship with last season. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on in the Super League, especially Rebocho. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play. I think he might be taking that left-back position from John Ash, personally.
Yeah, what do you think, Umut? Good signings from Besiktas?
Yeah. Also, it's worthy because they are younger players, so have a better future also. Besiktas had Gökhan Gönül, who is old enough to even thinking about retiring. So it's a great addition. Also, I have to add that Galatasaray today announced they refused interest in Mehmet Özcan, who is a number 6 position player, which also increases the possibility of him going to Fenerbahçe, because they're also rumored to be interested in him.
Besiktas too.
In the near future. Yeah, even Besiktas.
Yeah.
So that will add it.
I think that'll be one for the final few days of the window. I think he will probably get snapped up by one of the big three. Supposedly a really big talent, 20 years old, central defensive midfielder, Mehmet Özcan. That's a name you'll probably be hearing towards the end of the transfer window, I would say. But yeah, you're right. Galatasaray indeed did deny interest. Of course, that means absolutely nothing. That might mean actually that they will announce him in just a couple of days. So let's wait and see. But let's get over to Fenerbahçe. Not that much to talk about for Fenerbahçe, I think, Burak, except for one thing, a signing at the back. Tell us more.
Well, finally, we sign a defender after God knows how long. Other signings have been made this window. We all know the likes of Krusa, Vedat, Ozan Emre coming back, Gary Rodriguez, etc. But no, we've signed Mathias Zanka Jorgensen from Huddersfield Town, now the Championship in England. I had the opportunity to see him play last season quite a few times just by watching Premier League football matches. I'd actually had him in my fantasy football team because he was towards the lower end of the budget. And he would always pop up with a couple of goals. I think he scored 3 league goals last season. So he's got that about him. Strong, powerful, not the quickest guy, but quick to assert his authority. Lets you know you're there. Not bad in a tackle, shot stopping, positionally okay. Like I say, he's not going to set the world on fire. But if you look at the friendlies that we've been playing recently and who we've been playing at centre back, Giles and Diego Reyes, the Genç Okan we had play back there. Serdar Aziz is injured, of course, and
as always.
Yeah, he has a few games that gets injured. That's his prerogative. That's his MO, pretty much. But it's good to have a
Are you sure he's not just on holiday? Have you checked his wife's Instagram?
I've not checked his wife's Instagram, but I can assure you I don't think he'll be making that mistake. But who knows? Who knows what Serdar is up to? Maybe he's getting another tattoo or something. But when he stays fit and he's a good centre back. But Zanka, I'm looking forward to seeing him and how he adapts to the physical style of play in Turkey. Obviously, having had a couple of seasons in English football, I think he's going to be up to the challenge full of physicality. That's for sure. Like I say, I haven't seen him play. He's always someone who's not afraid to put a challenge in and let the opposing player know that, I'm Zanka, I'm here, I'm ready to take you out if I need to. And I think he'll pop up with at least 2 to 3 goals for us from corners or stabbing the ball in from crosses, etc. So happy to get a centre-back in, international centre-back as well, played for Denmark, represented them at the major tournaments. And like I say, even though his pedigree is Danish League, Dutch League, Premiership, so I think it's a good side. I think he cost around. I don't think we've had the cut
2 million.
To about 2 million. I think it's a 3 plus 1 year contract. He's 29, so yeah. Hopefully, he'll soon be playing alongside his countryman Simon Kaya, which is a rumour still that has been talked about.
It's possible.
If we're looking at the rumours going around, so like Kolarov, Sturridge, Kaya, I heard the name of Ahmet Kutucu today somewhere. I can't remember the source. The young Turk, I think he's playing at Schalke. As you just mentioned, that the young central defensive midfielder. I think out of the ones, Kaya is not a bigger possibility as some people think. I don't think he's that possible to get. I'd be absolutely delighted if we did, because it would mean another defender. I think Kolarov will eventually sign. I think that one it's being drawn out, but it's being drawn out by journalists, so you don't see anyone from the Fenerbahçe board talking about it or making any comments anywhere. Ali Koç has said that we announce transfers when they're done, so I can read tens of journalists' opinions every single day saying Roma want this much money, Kolarov wants to come, Kolarov has turned down offers from other clubs in Italy because he wants to come to Fenerbahçe. You can be sketchy about how truthful about what those rumours are. So, but I think that's the transfer that's most likely to be done. Will we get a number 6 in, another central defensive midfielder? Gustavo, too much money. Fejca, he was almost like a plan B, plan C. So whether that will be brought back to life, I don't know. Maybe they'll want to focus on the defence more. And as for Daniel Sturridge, I think he wants 3 million a year, from what I'm reading in The Guardian in the UK. But I know also some American and Italian clubs on him. I think he would be more likely to move to the States, I think, rather than come to Istanbul if he gets a good offer.
And do Fenerbahçe really need to allocate more wage budgets towards an attacker right now? I think they have bigger necessities at the back and in the midfield. They should probably not be looking towards getting an attacker before they get their defense sorted.
And an injury-prone attacker as well. That's obviously what's always curtailed Daniel Sturridge's career. He's always been a good player. I mean, that season when he was playing alongside Suarez, was it? He had a season, I think it was Suarez and Coutinho. When he was playing in that Liverpool team, he had them around him. I can't remember if it was Sterling as well, but definitely. Slipped. Yeah, I think that's the one. Yep, back to 2014. But yeah, that was a great season for him. But he had to.
Yeah. 14.
I was a Liverpool fan. But yeah, definitely. That was his best season, I think, because he had good players around him. I don't think he would survive in the Turkish league. I think he would, take one walk out onto the potato field in. And
Yalcin Ayhan would cut him in two, and it'd be over.
Exactly.
Fin de la carrière.
Bang, done. Yeah. So I'm hoping for at least 2 more transfers before the transfer window shuts. And I'm going to say that's probably going to be, for me, I'm going to say Kolarov and a central defensive midfielder. So I don't think Kai will come as much as I want him to. I think the wage is too high. Yeah. And I don't think we'll get an attacker either. But I'll be happy with another 2 transfers because, boy, do we need them, because that defence is an utter shit show. And it leaks gold.
Yeah,
for fun.
It remains to be seen with our good friend Kolarov, because I mean I think I've pointed it out before. He continues to start in every single one of Roma's friendlies. It seems that does not look like a player that's on his way out. They still very much seem to factor him in for this season. So you know what? I mean, at the beginning of the window, I was convinced that he was coming. Obviously, Turkish media played a big role in that. But given the fact of how Roma's preseason has developed, how much of a part he's played in that, I honestly don't think he's leaving. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Also, Roma bought Spinazzola from Juventus, who is also a left back.
Yeah, but Kolarov will probably play as a central defender, perhaps, next to Manolas. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking before Hasan Ali Calderon was injured. They were thinking him to place into left center half as a playmaker from behind.
Burak spoke about that as well, I think, a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah. Also, I wonder how Burak thinks about, as a former Fenerbahçe player, Matthew Valbuena in these 2 games against Basaksehir.
Volbush. Yaktın bizi Volbush. Class, he could still play for us for another season or 2. Like I say, he's just a guy that's got it. Good football brain, good ability. Maybe his cardio would mean he wouldn't play in every single league game for 90 minutes. But, as you can see, he's still got that touch of absolute quality. And sad to see him go, and it was sad that he was playing for us in a time when we were absolute shite, so we couldn't really give him any kind of trophy that he deserved. But, it was a joy to see him play for us, and Olympiacos have got a very good footballer on their hands. So, what can I say? It hurts, but this is the football, It just happens, and I don't think his contract was ever going to get extended, just because of his age, his wage, and the fact that there's a rebuilding and restructuring program going on at Fenerbahçe right now.
Okay, let's move on to Trabzonspor. There's one really big news item coming out of Trabzonspor, something that's been hanging in the air for a while now. It's Yusuf Yazici's move to Lille, and that's been completed for 17.5 million euros. But there's also add-ons, I believe 1.5 million in add-ons, and also 20% on the next sale. He's already made his debut for Lille on the weekend, and he played quite well actually. Already immediately adjusted himself, had a couple of really good, neat actions in store, and immediately made an impression at Lille in Ligue 1. So Yusuf Yazici, all the best there, and a great fee for Trabzonspor, and also a player in exchange, Edgar Ye, and the Portuguese central defender has already been loaned out to Feyenoord in Holland. Very puzzling. I definitely think that Trabzonspor could have used him. He's a decent player. What do you guys think of Yusuf's move to Lille? Is this the right move for his career? Umut, I'm going to throw to you first.
Well, it's definitely the right move for bigger future ahead of him. He needs to show himself in Europe in a bigger stage. So Turkish league is not enough for him. So he needs to go out, show himself, show his skills. And in his debut, I watched a couple of minutes of him and a small short of video of him. He was given a chance at the right wing, if I'm not mistaken. He made a quite of an impression there as well. Like he has been making playmaking and dribbling all the way himself and helping out his teams. Also, he has been chance to take the free kicks already when he's there, and did pretty well with those which he took. I think it's the best path he could have taken, and he did it.
Burak, what do you think about Yusuf's move to Lille?
I'm very excited for him, especially for his progress, because I think it's going to aid him greatly in his national team as well. I think the fact that Lille have brought him on that right-hand side of the field, I wonder if they're thinking of trying to get him and Zekic to link up a lot more often, just to have that Turkish connection, like that Ottoman invasion down the right-hand side of their pitch. It'll be good to see him in the Champions League, especially if Lille get drawn against some like big-ticket names as well. I'm not unsure what pot they're going to come out of, but it's an exciting time to watch him as a Turkish football fan, because you think of Yusuf Yazici on the right hand side and you're thinking of Cengiz Ünder on the left, and whoever we choose to play through the middle, whether that's going to be one of the Abdul Kadirs, if Şenol Güneş is going to persist with Çalhanoğlu, but
no, please.
Well, we know what the Şenol Hoca does sometimes, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's an exciting time. I like to echo what you said. I think it's good for his development, especially. I don't think he could have. I think he reached the ceiling at Trabzonspor in the Turkish league, and he couldn't have pushed on. So I think he's gone to a good club where is like the next level of his development before he then moves on somewhere else bigger. Whether he stays in France and goes to, say, another bigger French club, such as, I don't know, the only ones I can think of, maybe like Marseille, Monaco, Lyon, maybe, or if from there he moves to Germany or one of the other big leagues. But it's all down to him and how hard he works. But he seems to have his head screwed on. The fact that he's got this far based on his ability. So I'll be definitely tuning into Ligue 1 games this year, especially when Lille play against some of the bigger name French teams.
And you may also have to tune into Ligue 2, because Umut Meraş from Bursaspor has made the move to Le Havre in France. The reported fee is somewhere between 1.3 and 2 million euros. So that's a good deal for Bursaspor. 20% of that is supposed to go to Boluspor. But let's wait and see if they actually get their money. Umut Meraş was linked to Besiktas for basically the entire window. Deal was very close before the presidential elections of Bursaspor earlier in the window. Personally, I'm happy that we did not get him and we got Pedro Rebocho instead. But it'll be interesting to see how Umut Meraş continues his development in France. And of course, Bursaspor need that money desperately. So very good move for him, I think, for his development. Ligue 2 is a very good league for young players to develop in. There's lots of talent in there too. So if he manages to get into the team there, we could have a Zeki Çelik light on our hand. He was also linked to Fenerbahçe, and honestly, with Hasan Ali Kaldırım going down with a relatively long injury, I think he's out for about 2 months. A couple of weeks of that have already gone by, of course, but he'll still be missing at least a month or so. I was thinking that Fener might have pushed a little bit harder for Umut Meraş, but he's going to France.
Yeah, I thought we would have too. So obviously, he was not a big, a big ticket item for us. I'm saying big ticket a lot today for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because I can't think of the right words. But he wasn't, I think, a big priority name for us. So let's see how he does in Ligue 2. All the best to him, and I hope Boluspor get their money soon.
Indeed. Okay, well, I think that's going to do it. There's really not that much in terms of done transfers in the rest of that. There's always a couple of them in the rest of the Anatolian teams, but we'll be running down the transfers in one of the upcoming episodes. But that's going to do it for us for this episode. It's going to be a little bit shorter, but there will be more European previews coming your way as these legs finish. And hopefully Trabzonspor managed to go through. Hopefully Malatyaspor managed to go through. And of course Basaksehir will be in action in the next round of the Europa League playoffs. So still plenty to look forward to in that regard. And of course this weekend the Super League results, we'll be reviewing those next week as well. Quickly, what's your prediction for your team, Burak? What's Fenerbahçe going to do on the opening match day? What do you think?
Well, we're playing Basaksehir at home, and I think it will be 3 points for us.
Okay. I think Basaksehir is a sleeper team, and they're going to be tough this season. I think they're going to end in definitely the left column. I would say top 8, so wouldn't underestimate them.
I'm not. I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised if they flew up looks like Usain Bolt and knocked us for 6. I'm very worried about who is going to be starting in defence for us. So, but I'm still going to say opening game, home ground, excited fans, 3 points, and hopefully one of them will be like a 40-yard screamer from Ferdi Kadıoğlu. So,
if he plays, Umut, Galatasaray's fixture this weekend. What do you think?
We are going to Denizli, and we're going to play against Denizlispor. And right now, Denizli is one of the hottest cities in Turkey, which is about 40 degrees Celsius every day here. So I think our players' brains got melt during the play. There should be some water breaks during the game. Other than that, our midfield is suffering right now because of the lacking of some defensive midfield, and Fatih Terim insisting Seri to play there, which doesn't come handy for us because our midfield is like halaç pamuğu against strong teams. Denizlispor is a new team in the league. I don't think we're going to suffer much, but we need to be careful.
Okay, so that's on Friday. That's the only game on Friday at 8:30 local time, if I'm not mistaken. 8:30. So then on Saturday, Besiktas will be playing away at Sivasspor. I'm expecting a very difficult match for Besiktas. I'm expecting a very difficult opening couple of weeks for Besiktas, for lots of the new players to settle in. Of course, Besiktas had lots of injuries during the training camp, so it was a little difficult for the new players to get adjusted. So I would not be surprised for Besiktas to drop points on the opening match day away at Sivasspor. So on Saturday we have the returning Gençlerbirliği playing Çaykur Rizespor in the early match. Then Kayserispor playing against Alanyaspor, Sivasspor, Besiktas. Then on Sunday we have Göztepe against Antalyaspor. We have Konyaspor against MK Ankaragücü. We have Yeni Malatyaspor against Basaksehir. And then we have Kasımpaşa against Trabzonspor. And then on Monday, as Burak already spoke about, Fenerbahçe will take on Basaksehir. That's the fixture for the opening match day of the 2019-2020 Sport Toto Super League season. We hope you will be with us for this coming season, and lots of exciting football to behold in the coming months. Thank you for listening to Football a la Turca, and we'll be back soon with some European previews. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to watch Super Cup final on Vodafone Arena.
Yeah, come to Besiktas.
Indeed,
come to Besiktas.
And they did. Hopefully you'll be announcing the signing of Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
then Umut will jump ship.
Yeah.